The Basic Bitch Companion album. There you go. So let's see if I can get this without the light. And this was the second, no, this was the third one, my bad. I'm messing this all up. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, but I'm super excited for this video. I've had this idea for quite a while and now I'm finally acting on it. So I'm just gonna get right into it. This is gonna be my vinyl vid collection focusing on one particular artist. Today, it's gonna be The Doors. I don't know if you can see my poster back here. I'm very proud of it. I'll try to get some shots in there and include it because you can't see it. I'm really excited. They're one of my favorite 60s bands. Jim Morrison's one of my favorite poets of all time. I love him, so I thought this would just be a really great video to do and show you what I have in my collection of theirs so far. This is only going to conclude their studio albums, so no live albums, no compilations, etc. You know, I'm not including any of that. So this is just going to be their main studio albums released. And yeah, let's get right into it. First one that I have is, of course, their amazing debut. This is just The Doors, their self-entitled first album. This is their debut album, self-entitled. I'll zoom in a little bit right here so you can see the front and the back. This is an amazing record. It was released in 1967 under Elektra Records, and yeah, so they had a killer debut. Some of the main singles that they released off of it, just the A-sides, Light My Fire, which is extremely popular, and then I think Break On Through to the Other Side, that was also an A-side. Also includes The End, which is an amazing song, an epic poem by Jim Morrison that's famously included in Apocalypse Now, which is one of my favorite movies. It's a very gothic, dark, mysterious album. There are just some words I like to describe it as: moody, dark, sensual, poetic, cathartic. It's very dark romanticism, as I like to say. That's what it kind of focuses on and encapsulates in the whole spectrum of the album. May not look like it, but I'm a really super goth fan and I'm really into anything gothic literature, poetry, art. I'm really into that. I used to dress the part, but now not so much. I already went through that phase, so now I feel confident enough in myself not to have to go over exaggerant on my outside appearance. Some of my favorite tracks from this record, 20th Century Fox. Now, I just love this song because I'm just gonna get this out of the way. I love anything with organ, keyboards, that kind of psych, acid rock sound, I love. So my boy Ray Manzarek kills it on every album, in my opinion, because I just love the sound of organ and I love the inclusion of the keyboards in anything, especially rock music. 20th Century Fox is just such a fun, sexy, it really encapsulates sort of the idealistic rock and roll woman of the time in the 60s, that very carefree, erotic, free energy. And I also love the keyboards in it, so that's why it's one of my favorites. Number 2 is Soul Kitchen. I love the lyrics in this. I love how avant-garde this song is and its approach lyrically. That is, of course, credit to Mr. Morrison. Love, love, love at the keyboards on this one. It's such a dreamy song. All these songs are just sensual. Jim Morrison really, really prided himself on being called like a sex symbol and being in total control and freedom of his, sexuality, and I really like that. It's one of the reasons why I'm a big Jim Morrison fan, is because he was really into freedom of expression in all aspects and areas of the human perspective and experience. Also love End of the Night. It is just such a spooky, mysterious song. You can really lose yourself in that song. It's just such a great jam, I think. I just thought I'd also go through like the best time to listen to these albums. Obviously any time is the best time, but I specifically think a lot of these albums fit with different times of the years or different sort of moments that kind of conjure in my mind based on how it sounds and the material that it was focused on. Best time to listen to this would be fall and winter time. Any time that's like such a reflective nostalgia time, like fall and winter, has that energy. The Dark of Night. I think this soundtrack, I think this album is best listened to it has that very moody, dreamy kind of magical energy around it that's just perfect for a night. And you know, if you're sipping on whiskey or a dark Malbec or wine, whatever you fancy, I think it's perfect with that. Debut, it's a solid album. Moving on to their second album, this was released also in 1967, also on Elektra Records. This is Strange Days. I love the artwork on this. This is probably one of my favorite covers, if not my favorite cover. I love the mysterious quality of this, the whole carnival freaks type thing. You have the strong man, the juggler, the mime, the acrobat, it ticks all the boxes for those. I love the cover of that, and I just love how this Strange Day sort of was encapsulating the weirdness of LA and Holly weird, if you like to call it like that. I've heard some people call it that. This is one of my favorite records by The Doors. Second favorite, actually. First Doors record that I actually got was Strange Days. This has so many surrealistic qualities to it, and Mr. Morrison was a very big fan of surrealism and automatic writing, and we actually have a lot of the same inspirations. I used to be a fine arts and arts major. I went to this art college, an international art school, used to do fine arts and stuff, and one thing I focused on was surrealism and Dadaism. I love surrealistic art, surreal poetry, writing, anything like that. I love it. And so Jim Morrison is a big fan of that. I love all his references. His lyrics go great with the psychedelic musicality of this album. Really expressive of his poetry and the surreal focus that he had. Not as successful as their first one, but it's still a really great accomplishment. I think that this was an artistic breakthrough for Jim Morrison. His writing in this was great. I also love the various instruments that were included on this, including the synth, which Jim Morrison played, and there was some bass, which is pretty far out for the Doors. One of my teachers actually said that's why they didn't like the Doors, and it was because there's no bass in it. And I'm just like, what is wrong with you? Why is that an excuse? That I just can't, my brain just stopped working whenever he said that. I was like, okay, I can't trust you. This album is just such a freeform art piece in my opinion, and I guess that's why it's one of my favorites too, is that it's just the freedom of expression. The whole theme of that continues on in this album and is exacerbated. And just the experimentation that was going on in this, I can always respect artists that are just being creative for spontaneity or just being themselves and exploring what they can do with their talents and not letting any sort of outside expectation or entity affect that and play into or affect their artistry. Going back to the whole, it's the creative and freedom of expression, lyrically and musically. I think you can really hear that in this album and get those vibes, and that's why it's such a great listen. The singles, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, are People Are Strange and Love Me Two Times, which both of those songs love. So goes without saying, I love both of those. My favorite tracks off of this one is Strange Days. I love the eeriness of this track. Just in the very beginning when it's just the instrumental part, it's just sets the tone of the entire album. And the lyrics again are a masterpiece. My second one is Horse Latitudes. I love the spoken word. This is a piece of prose and it is amazing. I think Jim Morrison wrote this when he was in high school because I actually have all of his poetry books. I think it's in Wilderness. It's just a great poem, and just the story behind it is incredible. I actually dissected this piece for one of my AP classes, and it was just so fun to do and to do research for that track and I just listen to it over and over again and really study and break it down. It's just a great piece. The third one is I Can't See Your Face, My Mind. This is such a trippy song and it is so dreamlike. It has that surreal, dreamlike, psychological exploration, and I love the song for that. It was a tie between this and When the Music's Over, because oh my god, When the Music's Over is an incredible track. Honestly, I used to listen to that track over and over and over again. This album is surreal, it's abstract, mysterious, it's magical, chaotic, which all plays within each other, and it's just such a great album, very strong album. Best time to listen, winter or summer. I think these themes in Strange Days really are juxtaposed and go from one extreme to the next, both musically and lyrically, and I think that to listen to them in both the extremes of the seasons is a great time. It's fitting for those extreme seasons that can be chaotic. This will probably be the last one that I do in this part 1 of it. The third one and the third studio album is Waiting for the Sun. Love that album cover. Now, I recently just got this. Oh, I have to show you the Celebration of the Lizard. Didn't include the track, but they did include Celebration of the Lizard and the lyrics to it. And it's just incredible. Mine's not the best. It has some writing in it. I didn't realize that when I bought it. It's one of my favorite albums by them. And I'm probably gonna say that about every single album that I go over, except for the ones without Jim. It was really successful. So they released Debut, which was great. They released Strange Days, which was good, not as good as the first one. Third one, Waiting for the Sun, did amazing. It is the band's only #1 album, and it includes their second #1 hit, which was Hello, I Love You. And that is, of course, gonna be the #1 because it is an incredible, iconic song. It was groundbreaking, in my opinion. I love it. The other A-side single, I think, was The Unknown Soldier, which is also a great track. So this was a really good album, but not a really good album for them to record. Production and band disagreements, and also just Jim getting more into his alcoholism, unfortunately, and that caused a lot of problems and put tension and stress over the band. Some say this album is all over the place, but I think that it is very reflective of sort of the ebbs and flows of life. It's not always the same thing. It's not always stagnant. It has various qualities. There are some moments that stick out more than others do. There are some mellow moments. It falls in line with human emotion, human mood. I think it's just a very real and raw album and honest, and I don't think they just put it together to make it fit into one single category or make it have sort of a similar sound. Like, all the tracks kind of are different, and I like that personally. I love concept albums, but I also love when it's just kind of like, ooh, we have a little bit of flamenco inspired, we have a little bit of just the synth, we have some just various jazzy blues elements intertwined. Whether or not that was their intention, I still think it works. I simp for the Doors, so there's no way I'm gonna say like no to anything, with a few exceptions. To describe this album, it's like an autumnal album. I always call this a transitional album because maybe that's just the times I've listened to it, I tend to listen to it, is the transition from summer to fall and into winter. I feel like it has a great just transitional feel, mood to it. It's chill, cozy, it feels like home almost. And I think this is especially true with the track Love Street. Every time I hear that song, it's such a magical song. It sends me to this dynamic picture-esque film of walking down a 60s suburban area with the white picket fences around, but the ground is just covered with these golden amber leaves, and you can feel the chill of winter coming, but also the remnants of the heat of summer is still in the air, and it's just a very weird time, but I like it. The best time, in my opinion, to listen to it is like from going into summer, which is right around that time, into fall and into winter, and you know, just being inside cozied up with your favorite turtleneck and like a glass of apple cider or something. Yeah, this could be turned into the basic bitch album. My favorite tracks on this are all of them, but the main ones that I really love. Love Street, of course, like I just said, it always conjures up that romantic image of fall that I've never experienced in the 60s, but I feel like that could have been what I would have been doing at that time. 2 would be Spanish Caravan. I love the flamenco inspired guitar. Excellent piece. Very beautiful. Such a fiery, strong, just powerful song. There's this element of mysticism around it. 3 is 5 to 1. Oh my god, this is one of my favorite, all-time favorite Doors tracks, is 5 to 1. It is such a chaotic, eruptive, powerful, strong, wicked. It's such a great, just song. I love it. I'm speechless to this track because it's so great. It's gonna end it right here. This is part 1. I'll have part 2 out pretty soon, and I hope you'll like this and continue to enjoy. with me and come along with me on this journey of exploration through my collection of the Doors vinyl. You can follow me on Instagram. All links are going to be down below. You can also check out my Spotify. I have some songs out if you want to check that out. And I also have a TikTok. Like I said, all links will be down in the bio. And if you like this video, you know, give it a like. Comment down below what's your favorite Doors album. See you in the next one, so bye.